So it really sucks to make these types of videos, but this is just part of the industry that we are in, okay? Unfortunate things happen to gaming studios that we can sometimes foresee and sometimes not see at all. You know what I mean? So in this instance here, guys, we are talking about the Cycle Frontier. When I first played the Cycle, when it was not known as the Cycle Frontier, it was simply known as Cycle, this game had a overall different vibe to it. And I, for one, enjoyed the heck out of it. But if you've been around the block with this title, you know what I'm talking about. It was what you consider an extraction shooter to some degree, mixed with a contest type of game flow, right? There was teams that come in first, second, and third if you left with XYZ items and you racked up this amount of points for doing set objectives. And actually, it was a pretty cool premise. Now, we fast forward to what we have now with the Cycle Frontier. Now, in my opinion here, the choices that were made in the Cycle Frontier, I thought were going to be somewhat for the better, to be honest with you, but it did not turn out that way in my opinion. I felt as though the Cycle Frontier became like this super hardcore extraction shooter that I personally felt it was never meant to be. It essentially tried to be the more friendlier looking Escape from Tarkov. The news has come out today that the Cycle Frontier will be shutting down September 27th, 2023. Unfortunately. Now, with that said, there are three factors that have led to this game's demise, and we're going to talk about all three within this video. Now, if that sounds good to you, make sure you hit that like button, and also, if you want to stay up to date on all the shooter news and updates that are important to you, consider subscribing to the channel today. So, coming in at number 3 is cheaters. This is a quick excerpt out of the GameSpot.com news article, and it reads as follows. Developer Jaeger has shut down the free-to-play shooter The Cycle Frontier on September 27th, 2023. The developer made the announcement earlier today saying that the influx of cheaters drove other players away, and the game was unable to recover after steps were taken to prevent cheating. Now, I'll be very honest with you guys, I didn't stick around that long to even see that there were cheaters in the game, to keep it all the way real, right? But cheaters would definitely hinder you enjoying the game regardless, right? Nobody wants to play their favorite shooter under those conditions. You want to have a good, fair time and be able to enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? And if that is truly one of the pillars that led to this game's demise, that is totally a shame, because who knows if you even have the technology to combat these things. Cheats have evolved, cheaters are getting more smarter, AI is getting smarter, so these things could be hard to combat. I don't want to say that they could have remedied something up to fix this, but cheaters is definitely part of this downfall, hands down. Coming in at number 2, the part of the downfall for the Cycle Frontier is the game's business model. This read is super quick. It's from GameSpot.com, and it reads as follows. In a detailed blog post, Jaeger said that even after making the game more approachable during its 3rd season, it was still not enough to make the Cycle Frontier financially viable. Now, this is something that kind of shocks me here, because when you don't have a round table about how your game is going to be profitable and how you could capitalize on the user experience to entice gamers to spend their money with you, that's really scary to me, because it screams not enough research, not enough time, not enough forethought. And again, I don't know who's responsible for those decisions as far as it goes to analyze ways to make your game profitable, but these things are always important and always should be at the forefront of your game. Again, the Cycle being a free-to-play title and now being played with cheaters, man, you got an uphill battle. And on top of that, you don't know if your business model for your game is sustainable. It's just something that you see over and over again, even outside of gaming, just in business in general. Without a game plan to keep things going, flowing, and sustainable and lasting, you're doomed for failure. And it seems as though here with the Cycle, these ladies and gentlemen were simply not prepared here. And that really sucks. And coming in at number 1 for me personally is gameplay. So I'll keep it all the way real. Personally, I couldn't get into the loop of the Cycle because I felt like the experience was no longer that fun, playful time that I used to have in the previous cycle. I felt as though the hardcore change made the game essentially less fun. Now, I'm not going to say that it's not fun for everybody because sure, some people enjoy those hardcore experiences. Hence the success of EFT, okay? People love that game. And rightfully so. To some aspects, it's an interesting looking game. Not my game, but interesting looking title. Now, with that said, there was nothing in the gameplay loop for me personally that I could get into. The extraction premise or whatever just wasn't that exciting. I didn't feel like they nailed it all the way there. Like the concept, sure, was simple, but then going to these outposts and the lore around the game, it just seemed like it slowed down the game and made a lot of things convoluted. Now, I know some people might say like, well, Abel, don't you like when games have great content in depth to them? Yeah, sure, when it's done correctly. But in the flow of the cycle, I feel like the dots weren't connected. Now, they had the pieces to the puzzle, but the puzzle wasn't fitting together to make a perfect picture. And that is something that I still feel haunted the game overall. Outside of the cheaters, outside of the financial decisions, I feel as though the cycle Frontier just wasn't something that I could personally recommend to a friend and be like, hey, you're gonna get hours of fun out of this. I would have been lying. I would have been lying. Now, granted, the streamers put the game on in a big way and championed it all the way, and that's cool. But when it came down just to the simple gameplay loop and the fun factor, it just was not holding, Abel Green. It just wasn't doing it for me. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that felt the same way as I did. And I'm pretty sure on the opposite end of the spectrum, people enjoyed the game. So with that said, I feel like everything just amounted to this moment here, and unfortunately, the devs calling it quits on this title. I never like to see gaming studios shut down and games disappear forever, but again, this is part of the industry that we are in, and I feel as though Jaeger is a super talented studio, and they will find their way back to glory very soon. Now, staying on the topic of Road to Glory, XDefiant has a huge mountain to climb, and there's a heartbreaking truth about this title that I disclosed in this video right here. So be sure to click this video here, and I'll be sure to see you there.